All right. Third. Um. Okay, she's in. All right. Full screen it. Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and you? Can you hear me
I'm good.
well?
Thank you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Nice to finally meet you. Is it Renisha?
Yes, it's
Okay,
Renisha.
Renisha. Okay, I just didn't want to butcher it, all right? I wanted to ask beforehand because, man, I'm just bad at pronouncing names sometimes.
Yeah, no worries. I get it.
How's your day been so far?
I'm pretty good. How about yours?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, had a pretty, I'd say busy morning. But yeah, I mean, besides that, I had a pretty good day today.
That's good.
But yeah, I mean, I was looking forward, to getting to finally meet you today. I know, we reached out through LinkedIn, and now you finally have a face, to put on the picture, So I'm not a robot, I'm a real person. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to finally get to meet you, Renisha. But yeah, I mean, kind of before we get into anything, I just wanted to let I don't want this to be like an interview. I'm not going to be like, like asking you like Q&A type of thing. I just really kind of want to get to know you more, get to see if our goals, if our values align. And I know you said you graduated from UC Merced, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How long ago did you graduate, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I graduated last year in 2024, so spring
Oh,
2024.
okay, for sure, for sure. And then what was your major again? I know I saw it there, but I think did you do double major?
No, it
No?
was biological science, but it was an emphasis on microbiome and immunology.
Okay, okay, okay. No, yeah, now that's really interesting, and it kind of like had me questioning too. I'm like, oh, like what interested her in business? I was kind of just curious, so like I kind of wanted to ask you that if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, no problem. So my parents and I, we always wanted to set up like some type of business. It was mostly
Mm,
like a grocery store or setting up a hall where people can have their parties, like engagements, birthday parties, graduation parties. So when I was younger, we were always in between those two. We didn't really know what to do.
mm,
And it wasn't until 2 years ago my parents came to Merced because I was going here for the university, and they went to Atwater and they were like, you know what, we should probably set up some type of business here because you're attending
mm.
school and you got a job here because right now I'm a scribe at the hospital.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
congrats.
Oh, thank you. So they wanted to set up a grocery store. So we did last year. It sells groceries from India, Fiji, New Zealand, and Australia because we're
Wow.
Fiji Indian. So
Okay.
yeah, so definitely that kind of got me interested into business because I kind of got like firsthand exposure into that. I was helping my parents like contact like what's it called? Like sellers who can give us products directly
Mm,
from those countries and also a lot of social media presence. In the beginning, it was kind of hard to get customers,
yeah.
but yeah, so it definitely took a while to grow our customer, like our audience, but Facebook and Instagram definitely helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I was like, maybe even though I'm on the pre-med track, I'm like, maybe I would want to expand on my parents' business later on, or maybe create something of my own one day. But I was, and then you also messaged me on LinkedIn, so I was like, maybe this is a sign. I don't know.
No, yeah, that's actually like really interesting, and yeah, congrats to you on being a scribe. Especially pursuing your like pre med. I actually have a cousin who's she's actually pursuing pre med as well, and she's currently going to Dominican University. But I mean, she's like really like keen on that too. But she's also interested in learning about business too, because very similar to you, or a little different from you. She had like her own like little like small business as well, kind of like making her own little like what is it? I think it was like these keychains business, and she kind of wanted to like expand more on social media things like that. But
Yeah.
actually, one of my business partners, he's a public health major, and he wants to go into pre med as well. And so I mean, I know it is very time consuming. You're always like busy. Like you're doing things. You're always doing something. And
Yeah.
so what I do like actually like about this, I'd say like this business opportunity is that it doesn't take up so much of your time. You can kind of just put in as much as you want into it. There's like no limit as to how much you need to put into it. But I mean, kind of before we get into anything, I just want to let you know, we won't talk, I'd say too much about business. We might maybe just like touch on some surface level things. But like I said, I just want to get to know you more. I want you to get to know me more. So if my goals if align with your goals and your values and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate you for sharing all that. And that's actually really interesting. You just reminded me when you said you're Fijian and like Indian. You reminded me of
Yeah.
one of my old Fijian friends. I remember I was
All
like, oh, I
right.
just totally forgot about him, but I forgot I had a Fijian friend too. His name was Silasa, and really cool guy. But yeah, I kind of wanted to just give you a little bit more background on who I am because I know you probably saw my LinkedIn a little bit about me. But my name is Christopher Castañeda. I'm currently going to be a third year now at UC Merced. I have a background in management and business economics. as well as, like in banking. And so I'd say, just to kind of give you like um, real insight, because I want to be like me. I like to be very transparent, especially when I meet people, because I talk to a lot of people every single day, or like even in person. People are like, oh, he's very professional, the way he carries himself, everything like this. I'm gonna be so honest with you. A year ago, I was a completely different person, and that's because I just would hang around like the wrong association. I was going to parties, I was drinking a lot, I was smoking, just doing a lot of things that weren't really benefiting me at all. Like not scholastically, not personally, and not mentally. So just everything was like all over the place. And I feel like the biggest reason is because I don't want to blame my parents, but my parents are, like immigrants. They came from Mexico. My mom was like very young. She was like 7. She came with all of her siblings, and then my dad was like 16. And so they kind of just came to this country, they just started working, working, working. And so growing up, I just only like I didn't really get to spend so much quality time with them because they were just mainly working most of the time. Just trying to maintain a roof over our heads and really just being able to put food on the table. So it was always like 2 or 3 jobs that they're working and like it's like under the table because they didn't really have any like you know they weren't born here, so it was like really difficult to say kind of navigating that growing up. But over time I've kind of always had this like ambition, to like want to do more things, to like want to like not just make money, but like really like do something like out of like myself, like create a business or something like that. And that's, I guess, just comes from like I don't know, just I always had like this entrepreneurial spirit. I'm not sure if maybe you're familiar with, maybe like if you can flash back to like elementary or middle school, maybe even high school, but around that time it's kind of like I was like, okay, you know what, like what do kids like nowadays? And I was a kid, thinking about these things. So I was like, all right, let me start selling chips, Arizonas, and like candy. So I was like literally like hop on any little trend, like when it was fidget spinners, when it was the rainbow loom bracelets. I was like selling all that stuff, and I was like, all right, let me just try to like invest a little bit of money. My mom helped me out, I remember, and then I ended up paying her back. And I was like, all right, mom, now I'm gonna start making like profits. I'm gonna start, like I'm gonna start, making money now, because I didn't like asking my parents for money, because not like that they didn't have any, but I just knew that they were really tight with money. So I always try to find different ways, try to make money and not having to rely on my parents, as a kid growing up. Because I mean, I wanted everything. I'd see something like I want that, but like, all right, do I have enough money for it? But yeah, so I'd say I've kind of always like had like this like ambition and drive to want to start my own business. And I actually did that, what, like almost a year ago, by the help of my business partners, my coaches, and also my mentor. But if I'm being like super super transparent here, like after that, yes, I was like just still always hanging around like bad association, because like I always wanted to fit in and like be cool. And so I feel like we kind of all like we did that maybe at some point in our lives. And so just growing up, maybe I kind of crossed the border. I usually don't tell people this the first time I meet them, but I don't know, I really like your personality already. You're like very talkative. And what's it called again? So like I remember I was actually a freshman in high school, and I was, again, hanging around the wrong people. And so I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I actually, ended up getting arrested at 15 years old. And both my mom and dad were like super disappointed in me. They were just like, we wouldn't expect this from you, like you're the middle child. If anything, your older brother. And I was like, hey, like what the heck, But, I really like, like disappointed them. And my dad actually kind of went through some depression after that. And I felt really bad because it was even worse. It was like on New Year's Eve. So like, it was not a good way to start the new year. And so like I was in the police car, like the fireworks were going off, and I'm like, man, like what are you like what am I doing? And Christopher, like, what's going on? Like I had like this self talk to myself in like the mirror of the cop car. I'm like, all right, Chris, like what's like this is like it didn't feel real, but it was. And I was in there like juvenile hall for like 3 days. I ended up getting expelled from my high school because it was like linked to us. Like I pretty much vandalized the school, and it was just bad. I was just there with people who were doing bad things, and just because I was there and they caught me on camera, like, oh, you're a part of it too. Come with us. And so, I learned my lesson, and I had to go to a continuation school. And keep in mind, I'm like 15 years old, so I'm like, man, like all these things are happening to me at 15, and then they're like, okay, once I get it, like you have to pay a restitution fee, and I'm like, what is that? And then so they're like, oh, they gave me a huge bill, and then I'm like, okay, how am I gonna pay? My parents are like, we're not paying this, you're paying it. And so at 15 years old, I'm working at Baskin Robbins scooping ice cream for $12, and I'm like, oh my gosh, none of my friends have jobs. All my friends are going out there having fun, and I'm over here, having to work, riding my bike to work because my parents are not going to drive me to work. So I tell this to a lot of people. I feel like responsibility doesn't come with age. I said it wrong. So I feel like maturity doesn't come with age, but it comes with responsibility. And at 15 years old, I had bills, I had a job, and I was like, man, I'm only 15. Why do I have so much, responsibility already? And I'm like, man, I did it to myself. So kind of just like building off that, I just like, ended up switching high schools. My mom was like, Christopher, you're not a bad kid, you're just hanging around bad people. And so I didn't want to do it, but it was the best decision. I look back at it now and I thank my mom for that because, she was able to see things that I wasn't able to see back then. I actually got enrolled into Avid. And so that kind of like opened my mind, and like really like made me visualize this, actually see myself going to college because if I'm being completely honest, I didn't even want to go to college. I just wanted to work two jobs, buy a nice car, and that was it. And why? Because I saw my older brother do that. I saw
Uh,
him working, two jobs, like a graveyard shift, and then like after like in the evening and like the afternoon. And he bought himself a nice BMW. But what I didn't see is that he only drove it to and from work. And I was like, okay, like I want that, but I don't want that lifestyle.
yeah.
So I was like, man, all right, maybe I should go to college. Maybe I should think about, maybe like further my education. And so not only did my parents push me, but my teacher there, she pushed me a lot. She saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. She's like, Christopher, you're so like optimistic, you're so extroverted, you talk a lot, like you'd be great for a college environment. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think so. I was like, I don't know. And so I just didn't really have that self belief because I had like a 3.4 GPA. I applied to CSUs, I got into most of them. I applied to UCs, only UC Merced accepted me. I'm like, all right, this is a sign. They offered me like the best financial aid package. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Keep in mind, I'm from like the Bay Area too, so it's like it was like almost a 3 hour drive from like where I'm from. I'm from like right above San Francisco, like a small town called Novato. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not.
Yeah.
You are? Oh
Yeah.
wow. Where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm originally from Modesto, but one of my friends, we met in high school in Modesto. She had moved there actually, like during her junior year. And she's
Hmm.
telling me about this town. I'm like, I have no idea where that is. She goes, it's like a little up from San Francisco. I was like, I still have no idea where that is,
Oh
but
wow.
she's from there.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, that's awesome. I might know her, but that's actually really like. I usually talk to a lot of people, and I'm like, oh, I'm from Nevada. Like, oh, Nevada? I'm like, no, Novato. They're like, never heard of it, and I'm like, no one knows where it's at. But I'm actually surprised. Someone knows where it's at. Okay, finally. But yeah. So I'd say I ended up choosing to come here, and I feel like it was a really good opportunity. But like old Chris, like his old mistakes, doesn't learn from them. I learned by heart broken, eyes open, and so I was like, man. I went back my first time, like, all right, college experience, like, I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. I ended up getting like a double with one of my friends from high school here. We both go to that college. And again,
Right.
I just start hanging out with the wrong association. My grades are slipping, and I'm just not really locked in and focused. And so I'm like, all right, what's going on? And so I pretty much just like, I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me get outside more. Let me do more things because I would just do my homework and then just do dumb stuff. I'm like, all right, let me join business society. I joined business society. Yes, they taught me how to dress professional. They kind of taught me some soft skills, and they really like ended up helping me a lot. I'd say like my definitely like my second semester, my first year, and after that, I'm like, all right, you know what, like. I like business society, but I want something more. Like, this is a club. Like, it's not taking up so much of my time, but I want to do something else. I want to, put my time into, like, I don't know, build something for myself because I had this small little business at the time. I was like selling like just like okay, if it worked in middle school and high school, it should work in college too. I put up a little snack shop in my dorm. I put up like a whiteboard and I would sell like cup of noodles, Arizonas, waters, and sodas. And people were just knocking on my door, zelling me. And I'm like, all right, I'm there. I got you. And so I had a microwave and mini fridge. I would just like I was pretty much just giving everybody food, pretty much selling food on the floor. But yeah, so I remember just after that, my business partner, who I didn't know he was my business partner at the time, he reached out to me almost how I reached out to you on LinkedIn. And, he offered me this amazing opportunity. And I was like, oh, like, sure, why not? I looked at his profile. He seemed like a real person. I was like, wait, this guy's only 19 years old. He works for Meta and he's a business owner. Like, what? And he's in college still. He was at San Jose State University. Like, okay, like, he obviously knows something I don't. Let me learn from him. And so that's some advice my dad always gave me. Like, oh, always be this, don't be the smartest person in the room. You want to learn from other people. So I say that's like a little bit about me, kind of how I kind of like started my entrepreneurial journey. My bad, I didn't mean to go on for so long, but I mean, I wanted to ask kind of if you could share a little bit about yourself. It doesn't have to be about school; it could be about your life or whatever you want to share about. But I just want to kind of get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, so I came from Modesto. It's like 30, no, 45 minutes away from Merced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in high school. I always knew I wanted to become a physician,
Mm,
but it wasn't until maybe my junior year of high school where I was like, okay, maybe I want to do this after I was taking forensic biotech.
mm,
And that kind of like encouraged me to go into the medical field as well. But as terms of like business, yeah, my parents and I, we were always just thinking about this. And I was like, I'm gonna focus on my pre-med. When my parents want to do it, they can.
mm.
And that's kind of like how we decided that, oh, we wanted to open this business in Atwater, and I was still gonna do biology at the university. Currently, like as I said, I am a scribe there, but in university, I was a research assistant for the cognitive science department,
Mm.
and I was in a sorority for a year and a half, but it was a social sorority, and
Okay.
I felt like my grades were kind of slipping because of that as well. So I was like, okay, a year and a half is still like good enough to make friends in there. So I did. And then I left the sorority because I was like, I have to prioritize my grades and then my job and other extracurriculars.
Mm-hmm.
Also did college core in during my last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've heard of college core, but they do
Yes, I
like,
have. I've heard it a few times, but I don't
yeah,
know exactly what it is. But I've seen it on people's LinkedIn's too. Like they put it on their thing as like an experience. I'm like, I wonder what that is. But I've seen it. I've
yeah,
seen it a few times.
yeah, it's like a career leadership development organization. So
Mm.
you work with a bunch of nonprofits in Atwater, Merced,
Mm, okay.
Madera areas.
Yeah.
So for me, I did a nonprofit for food waste. It was preventing food waste. So we would go to a bunch of restaurants and stores and other like companies in Merced and Atwater. We would rescue any food that they wanted to throw away, and then we would bring it there. We would like sort through all that food, make sure there's
Mm,
like no moldy food or not too badly expired food, and
yeah.
then we would put it into a people's fridge. So anyone, it doesn't have to be like low income. Anyone was able to come to the
Mm,
site where it's at, and they're able to grab food. And then we also worked on other projects. Me personally, this was my own independent project with them. I created a video, and it was encouraging more funding
mm,
because the Yellow House, that's what it's called.
mm,
They're basically connected with the Bobcat Pantry on campus.
yeah.
So a lot of their programs that they do there for like food prevention and their Hmong club, they are directly linked to the university.
Mm,
So they were like, they're kind of decreasing our funding. Like, can you make a video about it? So I interviewed a lot of people from the university, and I made that video. And then the supervisor of of the Yellow House, he sent that video to the dean. And then I'm pretty sure they're able to get funding because they're still up, they're still running. They have a
mm.
bunch of projects because I still am in contact with them. Um,
Wow.
yes. And then now I decided to take my gap year. I did take my MCAT already,
Hmm.
but I decided to take another gap year, just get more work experience, and then
Yeah.
apply for the next cycle.
Mm.
And then that's pretty much it. Although I would like to say one thing, your story is really inspiring. I know that you are in business society. I saw it on LinkedIn, but like, are you like in any other thing on campus where you can like write articles or something about yourself? Because I feel like more people should learn about your story.
No, yeah, so unfortunately I'm not. And unfortunately, I actually like I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but before I even share with you, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that. Like I can tell that you have a really big heart for people and you like helping people because you're
Mhm.
still in contact with those people, even though you're not even in the school anymore. So like that shows, that you really have a passion for helping others. And, I feel like we resonate with that a lot because I've always loved helping people, even when it just like, I don't know, like it just makes me feel good when I help, when I know for like a fact that I was able to help other people, or just by doing something. Because you made me remember of when I made an anti-racist union club at my high school, and it's still up and running now because it was
Really?
like a predominantly white high school. Like when I transferred to a new high school, yes, it was nice. Yes, I was an avid, but it was like almost 90% like white people, and it's like you were literally able to count like the African Americans, and so like, there was like a lot of like racist slurs, especially the football team. So like I was like, all right, you know what, someone's gonna do something about this. So me and my like my best friend Miguel, we partnered up. We ended up making this club, and people were like, it ended up just getting packed. Like people would actually come and like talk about, all right, what are things that are going on, what are like problems, and how can we fix them. And it's still going on to this day. So I feel like you kind of left like a legacy there at like UC Merced, and so it just made me remember about that. But
Yeah.
kind of going back to what you were saying, yes, I was in business society. I was the director of the entrepreneurship department. My goal was to become the executive of the entrepreneurship department and actually like implement like an actual like a business project where people can like students can go there and actually join the department or like just join business society and actually start their own business, like have something like related to like entrepreneurship or starting their own business. Unfortunately, I did leave UC Merced, so I like put my leave form of UC Merced um, just like recently. So like I only did my first 2 years of college there, and I'm gonna finish. I'd say well, I'm gonna do some summer classes at a community college, and then I'm planning on transferring to San Jose State University, just because it is really far. Not just that though, like I kind of like didn't really do any research before I went to UC Merced. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, oh, my friends are going there. I'm gonna go there too. Like it's gonna be fun. And so like I love the campus. I love the environment. I loved all the connections and all my friends I made there. But what I didn't realize is that UC Merced is like a research based school, and it's like like also like for like pre med, they're making a whole nursing building there. I heard. I'm like,
Yeah.
man. And then I even talked to my econ professor, Professor Lee. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he was like, "Oh yeah, Chris, they're actually making a business major next year, but you can't even join it." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's gonna be like, "Oh well, you can't even switch your major because you've been in MBE for like this amount of time. Like, the administration program though is gonna be only for it's gonna be like a BA though." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be even easier than what you're doing." And I was like, well, mine's like mainly economics. It's like there's like not that much business in here, but I mean that's like mainly why I chose it. So I want to go to like San Jose State University because they have a whole business building, and I know that their school is like more emphasized on business. So I wanted to kind of just like maybe expand my horizons and kind of just um, like I'd say like look for more opportunities in the Silicon Valley than in the San Joaquin Valley. But I will go and visit still because I mean that's like my like I was a Bobcat once. Once a Bobcat, always a Bobcat. I feel like, but yeah, so unfortunately no, Business Society was like the only club I was a part of. I was like I did do like a lot of I'd say like community events. Like I partnered with BCB before, and also there was this other club to things like Y2F or something like that, I forgot. And we would do like a lot of like fundraising for like like just like the community there in Merced, like like clothing drives, food drives, things like that. So we did help a lot, but I never had to say like got the chance to like share my story. I know in business society I did share my story to some people, and I know it did impact some people, and that's kind of like I say like maybe like a little legacy that I did leave behind. He's now the new executive of the entrepreneurship department. I really like shared my idea. I'm like, hey, this was like my idea, my vision for what I had for this department. Maybe you should implement that to that. And he ended up sharing that in his presentation. He got the position, and yeah, I mean, I feel like a little bit of me is still there, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's my bad. I didn't mean to give more in depth about myself, man. I was trying to
Okay,
learn
it's
about
okay.
you.
It's good to learn more about you.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm actually planning to I'd say yeah transfer to San Jose State University, but I'd say they take like a summer class or two, definitely, and starting pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, I know I kind of asked you already, like what kind of caught your interest in this message and like in this opportunity, but I was curious. You said you had like a family business then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so is that like you said it's like produce then, or it's like food or
Yeah, it's groceries. So we do
okay?
have a little bit of fresh produce that we get from local farms here,
Mm-hmm.
mostly from Fresno actually.
Okay.
But apart from that, we get bunch of like frozen treats and meat and just snacks from like all the countries that our family is from, and then Australia and New Zealand because Fiji's like so closely related to their
Yeah.
culture and foods as well. But
Yeah.
yes, we opened that last year. It was in February 17th or on February 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so my parents have just been running that. We've just been trying to collaborate with more wholesalers. There's so many in California, especially in Sacramento and Hayward. So
Oh yeah.
just trying to get a lot of more collaborations with them,
I
like more
see.
connections with them, and then just trying to grow our social media presence. One thing I do have to do is probably collaborate with UC Merced, maybe give like discounts to UC Merced students who come here with their ID and stuff. So just
Hmm.
trying to find new ideas to like I guess market our business.
No, definitely, definitely. No, yeah. And I was kind of just curious because I mean, you kind of answered one of my questions that I wanted to ask next. I was gonna ask like, how long have you guys, like had this business for? Because you mentioned like family business, and I'm like, oh, I have a family business too. My dad has his own taco truck, and so we've had it for a while now. We've had our ups and our downs, and we were closed for like a whole year, and like things happen. But we've been up and running, I think, for like almost 5 months again now, and it's going really good. We're getting some like more, I'd say like traction. Yes, we're going our social media kind as well too, but it is like a roller coaster. I definitely say, especially like family businesses too, because it's like something I didn't realize, until like I actually like started like I say this business was that, because my parents, are like, it's like they're like self-employed. Well, it's mainly my dad's self-employed business. He's like the first one in, he's the last one out because, he has like that expertise, I'd say, at least for like, cooking, like he has like that skill set of, knowing how to, be a chef. He's like done like his whole life. So it's not like I can just go in there and take his position. People are like, hey, what is this food? Like, how does it taste like this? Like, hey, it's just a little different. So I'd say like that's the only maybe probably like difference. I think for like your guys' business, it's what you just said. It's more like I think like outsourcing, right? Like bringing in like different foods, things like that. So yeah, but I mean that's really interesting. And yeah, that's a really good idea actually. I didn't think about that. So like using like the student IDs to give them a discount, and yeah, that would kind of actually like market your guys' business as well too. So that'd be a
Yeah.
pretty good idea. But yeah, I mean, I actually wanted to ask you, Renisha, because like, um, like it seems like you're doing a lot, like you're pretty busy, and I know you're working now. Um, how long you been working for, if you don't mind me asking?
So for Scribe America, I've been working for 6 months now. So I technically started last year in November, but they were like very slow because of the holidays. So
Hmm.
some months were kind of cut out, but basically 6 months.
Okay, for sure. No, yeah, and I mean, the only reason I was asking was because I kind of want to ask you, like, what kind of like driving you, like, what's like your motivation to like, want to like, let's say, help your family business, want to be working right now, and then even still staying in touch with like like with like the program that you made, like when you were back in UC Merced, it seems like you're kind of doing a lot. So like, what kind of like makes you want to like do all this?
Honestly, like I think I found a way to connect all three of them together. So, like I always knew I wanted to become a doctor. I knew it was going to be the
Mm,
pre-med track. So, I did scribe at the Mercy Hospital here because it's the emergency department. So,
mm-hmm,
you're going to see every specialty there, whether it's cardiology, dermatology, whatever you can say.
mm-hmm,
But it also shows like time commitment, like how fast you are in that type of work environment. So
yeah,
that it's giving me firsthand clinical exposure that I feel like I was lacking in the beginning, but it's
mm,
only encouraging me to pursue pre-med even more. And then keeping in contact with the food prevention program, it's just because we're providing nutrients and preventing food waste. So yes, there's medicine on this side. You want to treat your patients, but
mm,
even without the medicine, you can treat your patients with better food,
yeah, with
with whole food.
nutrition,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's also like that. So another aspect of the program is actually every Wednesday. They may have changed the day now because I haven't been in it for a year,
yeah,
but every Wednesday, and this was like a weekly thing basically, we would always go to daycare centers and we would always provide them like bins of food, just fresh produce completely.
wow,
And that was for the kids. It was like your fruits and your vegetables, maybe some snacks, a lot of grains as well.
yeah,
And that was one of the things that also encouraged me to go into pre-med as well because I'm seeing people rely on us for fresh produce because people come
mm,
into our hospital and they're like, okay, I have diabetes. And then they talk about their dietary plan, and it's like potatoes and
yeah,
just a bunch of carbs. And I know that because, especially in like our Indian community and our South Asian community, we eat
mm-hmm.
like tortillas a lot and rice, and there's a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
carbs.
no, yeah, and same in the Mexican community. I had a lot of tortillas this morning. Oh no.
Oh, me too. Yeah. So that kind of also helped me connect I guess, my journey to pre-med because it's like, yes, I would like to treat people, but I also like in the future want to be someone who doesn't just care about treatment and diagnosis. I want to help them prevent it like in the long run. So learning
Mm,
from them, like seeing and providing nutrients to all of these families, especially the younger generation in Merced,
mm,
that encouraged me as well. And then when it comes to my parents' store, I really wanted to I guess be so committed with the business. It's because I look at some of the ingredients from Australia and New Zealand and they don't have like red number 40 and all of these extra ingredients and emulsifiers
yeah.
and stuff. So I was like, like you're having a store and you're bringing in things that have less ingredients and are just overall more healthy and
Yeah.
they have like a good balance of your carbs and fats and protein and everything. So, put that out to the community. And
Mm.
yeah, so I guess I found like a little way to connect it all, and it kind of just made me encouraged to do all of this together.
No, yeah, definitely. I could kind of see how like they all interlink with one another. And I say something that I took away from you sharing that is that you would really embrace challenge. Like even if it is challenging, like all right, what can I do to still overcome this. And another thing, I know I already said it before, but I could like see the passion for you wanting to help other people, and like like you said, like they have that reliance on you guys, for that program. And so yeah, I mean that's really awesome. I don't really meet a lot of people like that nowadays. People are like a lot of the time I meet people and they're like, what do they call it? They put profit before people, but I always like to say, and something that all of my business partners that we say, we always say, it's people before profit, because it's like we believe, without this world, like without people, like how's the world gonna run? So, you know, that's actually, like really interesting, that you kind of, you have like that type of mindset, not a lot of people really think like that nowadays. But yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to like talk a little bit about mentorship and kind of like talk to you about a little bit about my mentor, just so you know who he is. But kind of before I go into that, I want to ask like I know you've done like a lot of pre med things. I'm not sure if and also like programs. So I kind of want to ask like, have you ever like had like a mentor or like anyone you've like looked up to before in the past?
Um, Honestly, I think it was really just my parents that I always looked up to,
Mm,
and maybe just a couple professors from the university that I helped like get a connection with. And they kind of just encouraged me to pursue all of these things. And they were like, you're like, if you're able to do it, you can commit all your time into it.
mm-hmm,
So definitely some of the bio professors and my research professor that I worked with. But I would say it's mostly my parents because
mm,
my mom, she, like from a young age, she always worked. But one
yeah.
thing that she was so determined on was getting an education.
Mm,
So she ended up becoming a medical assistant when I was super young. But at that time, it was just like so hard financially for my parents.
yeah.
Because that time, my parents and I, we were still living with my grandparents from my dad's side. And it was
Mm,
like, it was super hard. And my mom was like, we have to get our own place. So even though it was like very hard, she would always walk me to my grandmother's house in like such hot weather, and then she
oh
would
my
walk to
God.
her work so she could earn money for her certificate for like her
Yeah.
schooling.
Yeah.
So she was one of my biggest motivators and my mentor, but as like an individual mentor I probably meet up with weekly, I don't think I've
Mm.
had.
Okay, no, yeah. I mean, I was kind of just curious, because like I like to ask people that question, but no, very similar to you. I never had a mentor, anyone to look up to, but I had my parents. Why? Because
Mhm.
I saw what they would do for me. So I'm like, all right, you know what? My parents are doing so much for me. Like, yeah, I need to give back to them. But I also like that, just like you said, that's like my biggest motivation. Like my parents, like they've done so much, like just to like get to this point, like where they are right now. But yeah, I'd say like for me, it was like I'd say like my dad a lot because he's someone who I looked up to a lot. He wasn't here for like a portion of my life. He did like end up leaving back to Mexico, and then he ended up coming back. I'm like, all right, dad, like like you're back. Hopefully you stay now. You don't leave me anymore. But yeah, so he came back, and I really looked up to him because like he always had like the strong work ethic. But um, I definitely say like I would go to my parents for like any type of advice when it came to like my personal problems, like financial advice, things like that. And something that I did lack, I'd say, and that I'm improving on now, but something that I did lack for like a lot a year ago was I lacked critical thinking. So like I know it's a big thing, but something that my coach, she really kind of like opened my eyes with this. She was like, um I'm curious, Christopher, like who do you like reach out to, like when you need like financial advice? And me, all the time, I would always go to my dad, because my dad kind of, like he like I would see, like he had like a nice savings, and then he would tell me like, oh, I want to start this business, I want to have a restaurant business. And like, okay, like then my dad was kind of like trying to teach me some things. But what I didn't realize is that my dad never shared, that he was in debt, or that, he wasn't doing so good financially. He might have like maybe like shown it, but he really wasn't. And so I would be there and I would ask him like, "Hey, Dad, what should I do with this credit card? Like, how do I do this?" And so like at a young age, I kind of just always took his advice blindly, not really like knowing if it's the right thing or not. But I'm like, "Hey, he's my dad. I need to believe him, right? Like, why would he lie to me?" And so something that I was able to actually like really like I'd say analyze now is like really being able to see like, all right, are my parents credible sources? I'm not saying don't trust your parents. I'm not saying don't ask your parents for advice. Still ask them for advice. I still ask them for advice. Now I'm just able to really like filter, or like, all right, is this advice that I should apply, or should I just take him? Like, okay, I appreciate the advice, but now let me go ask my business coach. Let's see what she thinks. Let me go ask my mentor. Let me see what he thinks. And so I kind of just been able to like build up that curiosity to, all right, should I do this or not? Like question it actually. But before I would be like, all right, my dad said that, I'm gonna do it. Let's do it. And so that is something that I did lack back then a lot. But I've kind of been able to like build up that curiosity and kind of try to start thinking a little bit more for myself as well. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to bring that up because that's something like that before I'm like, oh, my parents are my mentors. But now when I kind of, like try to like say that, I like to call, someone who's my mentor. Like I like to call someone my mentor is like to call like, or sorry, I messed that up. Like I feel like if I were to call someone my mentor, I would call them my mentor because they have the lifestyle that I want, or they have something that I don't have. And so I'm not saying I don't want to live my parents' lifestyle, but I want to be able to live a better lifestyle so that I can provide for them. And
Yeah.
so my mentor's lifestyle, for example, like I'll tell you more in depth about him right now, but he goes and travels and packs no bags. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then he's like, oh, I just buy everything when I get there. And I'm like, what? Like I gotta take a luggage, I gotta take a backpack. Like I just bring a backpack and shove everything in there and like wear double layer because like I don't like have like the money for that. And then he's
Yeah.
like, oh, and then like he wakes up at like what 3 p.m. He plays
Mhm.
with his cats. I'm like, what? I gotta wake up at 8 a.m. I got a bunch of things to do. And not just that, but when I kind of tell you his story, you're gonna I don't know if maybe you'll be impressed. I know I was for the first time. I was like, dang, like who is this guy? But his name is Phil, and
Mhm.
he actually came from Vietnam. He was an immigrant. He came to the U.S. when he was 18 years old. He had broken English, and he didn't have a job. I think he's working as like a dishwasher at 18 years old, and he went to San Jose State University, and because of that, he would just had this dream. I need to retire my parents. They don't have much time. They're in
Mhm.
Vietnam and I'm here. The American dream for him was all right, just get here and become successful. He didn't know how, but he had this dream of doing it. And so at the age of 22 years old, he was able to retire himself. And when I heard that, I'm like, okay, how did he do that? Like from 18 to 22, my first
Yeah.
two thoughts were like, okay, either this guy's a scammer or he's selling like drugs. That
Yeah.
those are my two first thoughts. I'm like, all right, like I'm skeptical. What the heck? I've never heard that before. Maybe on like TikTok or like on social media, like you see, oh, buy my thing and you'll become like, da 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 da. Um, and he didn't stop there. At 23, he was able to retire his mom, and at 24, his dad. And then at 25, he sponsored both of his parents from Vietnam and brought them over. And that just really impressed me when I heard that story, because I was literally just in your shoes. I'm like, all right, who is this guy? I need to talk to him. Like, like I need to like see him. I need to question this guy. And so, fortunately, enough, I actually had the chance to meet him at like a business seminar. It was in Santa Clara, and I'm not sure. Have you ever been to like a business seminar or maybe like a networking event, something like that?
Yeah, networking events, yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
for sure, yeah. So I'd say it's like a little bit similar. It was like my first ever business seminar, business conference. I'm like, oh man, like like I've never been to one of these. I was scared. So like again, like I'm someone who's very extrovert. I can talk to a wall, and like so like but when you put me in an environment where I'm new and I don't know anybody, man, I'm like
Mhm.
a fly in the room. You won't even hear me. And I'm like, all right, let me just sit here quietly. And so I went to an event. My mom ended up driving me because I told her, like, hey, mom, I'm learning about this awesome business opportunity. And then I showed her the flyer, and she's like, "Oh, like, oh, look, the speakers are they're Vietnamese." She's like, "Oh, no, I'm gonna take you. What if they steal you or something?" And I'm like, "Mom, stop it. What's wrong with you? Like, I can drive. Let me drive myself." She's like, "No, I'm taking you, and I'm waiting outside the hotel. What if they rob you or something?" I'm like, "Mom, they're not gonna rob me. Like, hopefully not. They didn't rob
Yeah.
me. I'm still here." But yeah. So she drove me to the event because Latino mom, very overprotective. But yeah, so I went to the event. I, was able to talk to my business partner at the time. His name was Tona. He's the one who introduced me to this amazing opportunity. And I sat down, I sat in the front row, and then I'm just like, all right, taking notes on my little notebook. I'm like, I'm liking it. Like, the vibe was like not what I was expecting. I was expecting, very professional, like suit and tie. Yes, I did that. My tie wasn't even on the right way. It was like super short. Had to button up my suit because I'm like, all right, I can't let them see my short tie. But then at the time, I didn't even know he was my business coach, but he was actually the host. And he's like, "Oh, we have someone new here." He's like, "Oh, stand up and introduce yourself." I'm like, "Who's new?" It's not me, right? And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, you, and Christopher." I'm like, "What?" And so I stood up. I like talked in front of a mic. I'm like, "All right, like, what do I say?" Like I was so nervous, but I was just like very shy. Like in the moment, I was like, "What do I do? I don't know what to say." You put me on the spot. Like I didn't sign up for this. And so the environment was great, very uplifting. Nobody was ever like putting me down. And so I really liked it, not just because of like the people that I met there, but because of what they stood for. I've never been inside of any type of association where people uplift you. They don't judge you. There's no vulgarity, no drinking, no smoking. I kind of grew up around all those things. So I'm like, hey, what's the catch here? What are you guys trying to do to me? So I was a little skeptical still. But after the meeting ended, I was able to connect to some people and I actually got the chance to meet my mentor. I saw Phil. I'm like, all right, I see him. I'm asking you, like, this guy's a scammer. Like, there's no way you did that. And so, like, I just had the skepticism and I had this huge ego at the time. And so I meet him, like, hey, nice to meet you, Phil. My name's Christopher Castaneda. Like, I have a few questions for you. He's like, oh, nice to meet you. And so I asked him, like, yeah, ask away. And so I was like, hey, Phil, if what you're doing is legal and ethical, will you be my mentor? Straight up like that. And he was like, okay. Thousands of people asking that same question at
Uh-huh.
every single business conference, every single business seminar.
Mhm.
What makes you different from everyone else? And what little 19-year-old Chris with the short tie is like, uh, what makes me different? So I pull out
Yeah.
my phone. I'm like, all right, I know what to do. I got my resume. I started working at 15 years old. I got like like what, 4 years of experience to work. I have all this. I started reading off my resume, like my experiences, all this and that. And he's like, you can put your phone away. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, that tells me nothing about you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you know how many people lie on the resumes? I was like, oh man, I should have, I should have been more dishonest on it than I guess. And no, I'm just kidding. But he was like, I look for people who have integrity, people with accountability, people with communication skills, people with transparency. If what you say you're gonna do matches what you do, and so all these things he listed out, they were like all intangible, traits. Something you can't see in a person. Like after meeting them one time, like you see that over time. After you spend some time getting to know someone, you can kind of see, what type of person are they. And so when he told me that, I was like wow, like no one's ever spoken to me like that. I kind of was like, he like humbled me. So I'm like, hey, like man, who is this guy? Like, what the heck? Like I was kind of like, man, it kind of hurt my feelings, but he wasn't wrong. So
Yeah.
he made me think about that more. And he's like, Chris, like I really like your attitude. He's like, come around more and ask me more questions. And then he just like a bunch of people started asking him questions, and I walked away from him. I'm like, man, I want to learn from this guy more. He definitely knows something I don't know. Like the way he was dressed, the way he talked, the way he carried himself. I was like, all right, I need to learn from this guy. And so time went on. I ended up, going throughout, more in the process. Because keep in mind, that was like the third step in the process. I was able to select the company, the compensation plan, how everything works. And that's like maybe like, yeah, third step out of the 7 steps in the process. So it's just like now. Today, we're just getting to know one another. This is like the first step. We're not going to talk so much about business. But yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit about my mentor. Just so you don't go into this blind like, all right, who is Phil, this and that. But do you have any questions right now, comments, concerns?
Um, I guess like yeah, I know we're not supposed to be talking a lot about business, but
Mm-hmm.
like what is your guys's or like what does Phil exactly like focus on?
Yeah, no. So Phil, I can give you a perfect example. So our business, Phil's business, is it's e-commerce and franchising. I'm not sure if you've heard of them before.
They sound familiar,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So let me break them down for you. E-commerce. This is like the most like I'd say like surface level it's like knowledge I can like share with you because this is like just like the simplest way I'd say. So you know what Uber is and Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So these are, I'd say, like that's an example of e-commerce. But to kind of break it down further, Uber owns a platform. They own an application. They don't own any cars, and they don't have any customers. Or well, they have customers, but pretty much what they do is, they're just the middleman. They're just like the application in the middle, and so they just connect people, who have the money, who need a ride, to people who have a car, who are signed up for Uber, who need money. And so what Uber does is they merge those two together. And
Mhm.
so, let me ask you, and maybe in that transaction, maybe the driver makes like 94% of like, the profits, but
Mhm.
Uber only makes like 6% in that one transaction. Who do you think
Mhm.
makes more?
Well, like, because Uber has so many drivers that work for them. It's like even with that 6%, there's so many. So I would say Uber.
Yeah, no, and you're not wrong. Because think about it, let's say what, for Modesto, there's like 10,000 Uber drivers,
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe the Uber driver in that one transaction makes a lot more than Uber. But if you zoom out, I mean, just in Modesto, 10,000 times 6%, that's a lot more than maybe that 194% that one driver makes. So yeah, if you really look at it globally, Uber makes a lot more.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're that person in the middle, connecting those two people who need that product or service. And so same with Airbnb, same exact example, the real
Yeah.
estate people who need a place to stay at. just
Mhm.
an app that connects them together. And for franchising, we can use like any type of franchise. Like there's Starbucks, McDonald's. We can use McDonald's for an example.
Mhm.
I like to really say that for franchising, it's simple, but it's
Mhm.
not easy. And let me break it down for you. So McDonald's. Let me just ask you, do you know how much it is? Like, do you know how much it costs to buy your own McDonald's?
Probably like hundreds and millions of dollars to start
Yeah,
your own
exactly.
brand.
Yes. So it's actually $1.2 million to buy your own McDonald's.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's
No, yeah.
cool.
It's a lot of money. Yes. I don't think you or me combined have that much.
No.
Yeah. And so, if you look at it too, like that's, it's not really scalable. Like if you want to be able to teach someone how to open up their own McDonald's, you're like, all right, do you have 1.2 million?
Yeah.
It's like you can't just really build it up from scratch. You need to have that liquid cash. Um, but the reason why I say it's simple and not easy is because yeah, every McDonald's is almost the same. They have a
Yeah.
drive-through. Almost anybody can work there, right? Because they have like a very simple menu. Everything's almost the same, and so it's simple in that terms. And then I say it's not easy because no one really has $1.2 million to invest into, right? And so if you kind of compare that to like to my business, it's simple because there's only really two things you need to do. And one of them I'm doing right now. I'm just networking. I'm just talking to people. It's really just putting yourself out there, getting to know more people. So
Mhm.
it's just networking and then sharing our product and service. And that's
Mhm.
really all it is. It's just those two things in this
Mhm.
business. And the reason I say it's not easy is because we're people. We have
Yeah.
problems. Your car breaks down. You lose
Mhm.
your job. You lose a family member, someone you love. We're emotional.
Mhm.
Your girlfriend or significant other breaks up with you. So that's why I say it's not easy, because life happens. We understand that. It's like a people's business. And so I'd say that's like the most like surface level, like I'd say like examples I can give you. I could tell you more. We can be here for like 3 to 5 hours. I can just tell you everything about my business.
Mhm.
I don't think neither you or I want to do that. But if you are interested, say, in learning more, luckily for you, I was actually kind of just like I was talking to one of my business coaches earlier today, and she is actually gonna have a meeting tomorrow where she's gonna kind of break down the business model, the structure of the business, and kind of how it works, so you can get like a better, clear like understanding of it, and also the opportunity to get to meet my business coach. This is me personally. I wish I had this very early on when I was kind of going throughout the process. But she's someone who I really look up to. I really admire her because she's done so much for me. She's helped
Yeah.
me a lot, and yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if maybe you'd be interested in maybe joining that meeting tomorrow, or if you're free or not. If not, it's completely fine. I understand. But I just like found out today, so I'm like, oh, it aligns perfectly, but only if you'd like.
Sorry, that's my dog. But,
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
oh, okay, that's good then. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in going to that meeting. Like, do you have a link that you could just provide on our
Yeah,
link?
yeah. So I could send you the flyer, and since it is
Yeah.
invitation only, I don't have the link yet. I will get the link probably tomorrow, on like 6:30, 6:45. The meeting will
Uh-huh.
start at 7 p.m. And yeah, I mean, I can send you that there. But I mean, do you have like any other questions, comments, concerns, anything like that?
I guess I kind of just wanted to ask, like, I guess this is more about your own personal, like, position, but do you have, like, any other type of, like, follower growing outside of LinkedIn? Because I feel like you should really put your story out there. It really is good because
I
it's
appreciate
so,
that.
yeah, no problem. It's so hard, like, when you, like, come from a background where you may not have done so good academically, or you just weren't in a good financial place and you were still able to, like, progress and improve on everything. I think you should
Mm.
really do that.
No, yeah. I mean, I have thought about it. I've always told myself ever since like after I
Yeah.
did that, I'm like, all right, I need to write a book. Like for sure, I need to write a book. And so I definitely want to do that. But at the same time, I know that it takes a lot of time to write a book, especially with
Yeah.
like the writing. Like I'm not saying I'm a bad writer. I just know it's very time consuming. So I know it would take me definitely some time. But I have thought about that, and I appreciate like that because then I'll take that as like a compliment almost. But yeah, I have thought about it, and I am working on like my own website because like yes, I have my own business website, but I want like my own personal website as well, to like kind of like share about myself, about like my life. But that's something probably like that's like in the making. Probably
Yeah.
maybe this summer I can actually work on that because I know you
Yeah.
just brought that up into my mind right now. But yeah, I should appreciate that, and I might
Yeah,
actually take that into
probably.
consideration now, because I've thought
Yeah.
about it, but it's kind of just been back there in the back of my mind, like, all right, I'll get to it someday, but you just
Yeah.
buried out that old file now. But no, yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to ask you, like, are you someone who likes to read a lot, or are you more of like a visual person, like you like to watch videos?
I'm kind of a little bit of both. I think for entertainment wise, like on my free time, I'll read.
Mm.
I guess if I'm like with a company or something, just give me the video. Just a summary.
No, yeah, no worries. The only reason I was asking is because excuse me, my mentor, he usually recommends me, send out like some material, after like the first time we meet. And if, you want the video, no worries. It's kind of just like a video of my mentor kind of talking about entrepreneurship, kind of, like what is entrepreneurship. The reason I was asking is because like I feel like, you might know a little bit what entrepreneurship is. You kind of experiencing it with your parents' business, but
Yeah.
it does kind of go more in depth about, like what is entrepreneurship, like why should people, like want to pursue entrepreneurship, things like that. And the book is more, I'd say, like it's more like educational, kind of teaches you more about like the business model, like the structure of it, kind of like what type of business it is. The author is Robert Kiyosaki. Not sure if you've heard of him or not.
No.
He wrote the book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Maybe if it doesn't ring a bell, then it's okay. No, yeah. Usually people know that book. Like when I say like, oh yeah, I've read that book before. But no, yeah. So if you like, I can send you the video. It's like a 50-minute video. It shouldn't take so long. But yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to ask you like if I were to send you the video, like how long you think it would take you, to kind of watch it and get through it.
Um, I'd probably just maybe watch majority of it at least, just because it's like it is kind of interesting and I guess I don't know much about it, so like yeah, I would give my full attention to it.
No, yeah, definitely, definitely. No, yeah. And you'd get to see my mentor. Well, at least my how he looked like in the past, but the video's a little old, but he definitely he looks the same. Maybe just a little younger in his voice, but yeah. I definitely send you that video. And I did want to ask you, is there like a better way you could stay in contact? Just because I do check my LinkedIn, but I need to get better at checking it more consistently. So
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, would it be fine, if I give you my phone number and you can kind of just text me on there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I can just put it here in the chat. Do you have anything else planned for the rest of the day today?
I'm just meeting with one of my friends through Zoom. I'm just gonna tutor her on some MCAT stuff.
Oh,
And
okay, for sure.
yeah, and then take the dog out for a walk. He's
What type of
barking.
dog do you have? I'm curious.
I have a Maltipoo.
Oh, I actually, well, it's my mom. It's like the family dog. We have a Shih Tzu poodle mix. So
Oh,
he's like little and like fluffy, and he's really cute.
yeah.
Yeah, but when his hair gets too long, he looks like he's crazy, like he's everywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah, he needs a haircut now. But no, yeah, that's cute. I've seen those before. Those are really cute dogs too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I sent you my phone number there. You can just send me a message and I'll just save it. And yeah, I can send you the video from there. And I can also send you the flyer for tomorrow's meeting as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No, yeah, no worries. And Renisha, it was amazing getting to know you today. Awesome experience talking to you. I know you already graduated, but I mean, I still like connecting with people who are graduated, people who are not like, high school people, like, doesn't matter what your background is, like, that's
Yeah.
like my main goal. I just like to connect to people because you never know who you're going to meet, Like, literally, like, you're going to meet her tomorrow, but like my coach said, it's not about
Mhm.
what you know, it's about who you know. But yeah, I do feel like knowing at least some things is important too.
Yeah. It
But
was nice to meet you
no,
too.
yeah, definitely nice to meet you. You have a good rest of your day. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, just shoot me a text. I'm like a text away. And yeah,
All right. Thank you. It was nice
yeah,
to meet
yeah.
you.
Likewise, you have a good rest of your day then, all right?
And thank you, you too. Bye.
All right, bye bye.